Good morning, class. Today we're going to learn about shapes. Now we're going to learn something very specific about shapes. We've already been talking about their names. Now we're going to talk about their attributes, or the thing that makes them different from the other shapes. So in the world, a lot of things are called the same thing. For example, Mrs. Hamilton. My mother, Mrs. Hamilton, has the same name, but we're very, very different. I'm tall, she is short. I'm young, she is old. I have a long, blonde, straight hair. She has short, brown, curly hair. We're very different, but our name is the same. Mrs. Hamilton. So if you walk into a room and there's a bunch of people there and you call Mrs. Hamilton, both of us are going to answer. But if you know the attributes of me, if my mother comes over, you can look at her and say, no, I want the Mrs. Hamilton that is tall and young with long, blonde, straight hair. And then we would know who we're looking for. Same thing with our shapes. We're going to find the attributes of our shapes. We know the name of our shapes. We have a triangle, a rectangle, a square, a hexagon, and a circle. But they're very different. We can look at that and see they are different. But we want to be able to say how they're different. And we're going to use two things today to classify them and talk about the two attributes. The first one is how many sides or edges. And we're actually going to use the word edges. Okay? But if you hear sides, it's the same thing. But we're going to use edges. And we're going to say how many corners or vertices. All right. Now, vertices, it actually means where one line and a second line come together and they make a point. That's a vertex. But if you have more than one, it's vertices. Okay, it's the corners. So our first shape is a triangle. What I want you to do is on your desk, you have a box like this. Everyone in your group will get out one triangle. Okay? And everybody gets the triangle. And the first thing we're talking about are the sides. So we're going to count how many sides. On this one, we have, I'm going to start here at the bottom because that's where my fingers are. This way I don't lose track of where I'm counting at. So I have one side, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, and on my board I can do it this way. I can say 1, 2, 3. So the attribute of edges or sides for a triangle is that it has 3 edges. Okay? A triangle has 3 edges. All right. Now, what about the vertices? All right. Remember, a vertex is where 2 lines come together and they make a point. So, again, I'm going to hold it with one hand so that I know where I started. This one's 1, 2, 3. Do you see that? 1, 2, 3 vertices. And I can count that here. I've got 1, 2, 3 vertices. So a triangle has 3 vertices. Very good. All right, let's put our triangle back in our box. And the next shape that we're going to get is a rectangle. There we go. Make sure it has the long edges and the short edges. We're going to talk about that in just a moment. Rectangle. So, our question is what attribute does the rectangle have? How many edges does the rectangle have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 edges. 1, 2, 3, 4 edges. All right. And how many vertices does our rectangle have? We have, starting in the corner, hold it with your fingers. That's number 1. 2, 3, 4 vertices, or 4 corners. We're using the word vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll count it here so you can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Now a rectangle, another thing, and I don't have it on our board, but we do need to talk about it. I want you to look at the rectangle. I want you to see that there are 2 long sides and there are 2 short sides. That is another attribute of a rectangle. Okay? Now these sides are what's called parallel. That means that if we draw them out and out and out and out, the 2 lines, the 2 long lines will never meet. If we do the same thing with the short lines and draw them out, they will never meet. That's parallel. Okay, so that's another attribute about a rectangle, is that it has 2 sets, the long and the short, of parallel lines that never meet. All right, that's our rectangle. Let's go to our square. Our square is a special guy. Technically, our square is a rectangle. Wait, what? You just said a rectangle has long sides and short sides. The square doesn't have that. I know, that's a little confusing. But let's start first with how many sides we have, right? Our square has how many sides or edges? How many edges do we have? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, here. 1, 2, 3. Whoops, that was crazy. 4. All right. And we count our vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 vertices. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Now, back to this guy being a special special rectangle. He's just like a rectangle. He has 2 sets of parallel lines, the upper and the side, okay? The horizontal lines are parallel, the vertical lines are parallel. But the reason he's special is that all of his sides are the same length, okay? He's the same length. Our rectangle has long and short. The square has same and same. Okay, so that makes him special, a special rectangle. But he's called a square. All right, that's our square. Put that back. Let's pull out our hexagon. There we go. No, it's not a stop sign. Almost, but not quite. A hexagon. Let's count our sides or our edges on the hexagon. Okay, this is our attribute. How many edges? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 edges for our hexagon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What about our vertex? Our vertex where our 2 lines come together. How many vertices do we have? Well, we have 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, let's use our attribute block. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vertices. All right. Now the last shape we're going to do, let's put the hexagon back. The last shape is our circle. Everybody get out a circle. That one's in the center of your box. There's our circle. Now, we need to find how many edges does a circle have. Are you ready? Let's try and find our edges. One. Wait a minute. 1. My finger keeps slipping. That's because the circle does not have straight edges. It has a curved edge. Therefore, our circle has 0 edges. Right? There's no edges, nothing straight right there. So then how many vertices does our circle have? Well, the definition of a vertex is where 2 edges come together and make a point. Do we see any points on our circle? No. So our circle also has 0 vertices. Okay. So that has no vertices, no edges. But an attribute of our circle is that it is curved. So that's something different about a circle, is that it has curved edges, a curved side. Okay, very good. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a couple of real world things. You know, why do we have to learn about a triangle? Yeah, it's fun to draw. No, we can find all of these shapes in our world. For example, a triangle. If you're out at the beach, you might see a ship sailing along, and its sail is 1, 2, 3. Look at that. It's a triangle. That's the sail of a ship. A rectangle. Well, you know, I had a birthday not long ago, and I received some gifts, and one of them came in a gift box. And look at that. It's a rectangle. So we use rectangles in our real world life. What about a square, Mrs. Hamilton? This one. What about pillows on the couch so that you can lay down and watch television? That's a nice square, see? All of the sides are the same length. It has 4 sides, 2, 3, 4, and 4 vertices, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there's a square in our real world. Very good. Well, Mrs. Hamilton, there's not really any hexagons in the real world. That's just a shape. No. If your dad works on the car, he might need something called a hex nut. That's a hexagon. It has 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That way he can put things together. Or, if you like to eat honey, honey comes from bees, and bees make honeycombs. And a honeycomb is actually in the shape of a hexagon. That's a real world thing that we can sink our teeth into. We can also find a hexagon and another shape on a soccer ball. The soccer ball has hexagons on the white section, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and pentagons, 5 sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, on the black sections. So that's our soccer ball. We use that out on the playground every day. Another place you can find a pentagon, a 5-sided, is right in front of our school, and that is on our crosswalk sign. It's yellow, it's a pentagon, and it has people walking. And when you learn to drive, you know that this means be careful. Someone could be wanting to cross the street. Slow down and look and stop for them. Another fun sign that we see everywhere is actually an octagon. That's 8 sides, oct. And that is a stop sign. It is red. It's an octagon. It has the word stop, but even if you can't read, you recognize it. And it means you need to stop and look before you go. So that's an octagon. That's real world situations where we use shapes. Okay, so for today's activity, you have a worksheet. You're going to use colored pencils or crayons. No markers, please. And you are going to color according to sides or edges, okay? If it has 3 edges, you do blue, 4 edges, orange, 5 edges, yellow, 6 edges, red, 8 edges, green, and I have to tell you, there's a few of our 0 edges. That means you do not color it, okay? When you finish that one, you get to do the next side. This one, you get to cut out, and you get to separate according to how many edges, 3, 4, or 5 or more. So if it's 6, does it go here? Yes, it does. What if it's 8? Yes, it does. Okay, 5 or more go here. And you use your glue stick. No wet glue. Okay? And I will go around and I will check on you as you do your work. You may talk with your table group and get help and discuss it. And those are our shapes.